with you in Wieliczka. He was with you in Wieliczka when the train stopped at Auschwitz. In Flossenburg, when you were naked outside. And so this is the first time I got to meet him. You're the only person who's alive who knew or who was with my father. So I just want to say,
I'm sorry I didn't know your father then.
maybe you did. Maybe you were
I
with
did,
him.
but no name, no
Because
place.
he was also 14.
He had the KL on his arm, and
He had the KL. But anyway, I just wanted to say thank you. And I'm so happy to meet you. And yes, I feel
Same
like
here.
your family.
Same here. I
And
know
we will-
who I'm talking to on Facebook.
That's right. So I'm sorry to interrupt everybody, but it is really such a blessing.
We are,
And you are
basically
not-
family.
You are young. You are 91 and healthy. And so you have a long way to go. So we
From
will
your
stay in
mouth.
touch, but I just had to say hello. I love you like family. And it's just wonderful to finally meet you.
You are like my family.
I am.
You know wherefore I speak.
I know from where
You
you
know the
speak.
pain I had.
I know the
pain I
pain,
live with.
but your words matter. And everyone is so grateful that you are speaking because it matters so much. You speak for the people who survived and the people who didn't. And your testimony matters because the truth matters to fight to keep, the history from being denied. But I won't take up more time, but I will be in touch with you. I will not let you go.
Okay.
All
Keep
right.
in
Thank
touch.
you. I will.
Take care, Anna.
That was beautiful. Thank you. Jill?
Funny, small world.
Am I unmuted? Did you want, let's
Jill
see.
is my other good friend who knows a lot of my history. Her father-in-law, mother-in-law were in Tarnów ghetto. They could identify with my pain and my sorrow. So we are friends too, Jill. Although I never met you in person, we often chat on the phone.
There's still time.
Still time.
There's
Hope
still
so.
plenty of time, Steve.
Hope so.
Steve is 91 years young, and I've been blessed to be his friend for the last few years. We met because of our association with Tarnov. Magda, who's right below me, is also from Tarnov, and we're just so grateful to Steve because he is the voice of the residual survivors from Tarnov. I could see Freda Arlo, who's on the phone, who also has family members. We are the community of second, third generational activists who Steve has served as a role model and inspiration for. So thank you for sharing him with this group. Thank you. He's one of our precious last Tarnov survivors who could tell the story and allow us to take that into the next generation. I did want to mention that Steve had something happen to him a few years ago. I think that's really, really unique and something that many children of survivors wish had happened to them. He was contacted by somebody who found pictures of his family, and he was taken in this exhibit that he was part of, and he was able to not only see his siblings and his parents, but also the aunt and uncle. And it's a really unusual story. If he can just briefly share how that happened, that all these generations later, he was able to be part of that beautiful experience of being contacted and shown the pictures. I think it would be really meaningful.
Yes, good that you remind me of that. I spoke to her today. She is a professor of anthropology in Vienna, not a Jewish lady. She's relatively young. She's probably in her late 40s, early 50s. When I met her, she was probably in the 30s. She worked at the Holocaust Museum in Washington. And she had pictures of members of people in Tarnów who were interviewed by her type of people from her department, anthropological department of Vienna universities, 3 or 4 Nazi ladies. We were interviewed to be shown one day that we were subhumans. We were measured, we were asked, we were talked to, we were checked out. The Germans had a way of mistreating us to no end. They did to us mentally as much as physically the worst that could be. They wrote on my papers and my brother's paper, my sister's paper, that we are not subhuman, that we are active, we are athletic, we ski, we skate, we ride bicycle, we rode. Other the Germans, we didn't. That we are very much like other kids. They couldn't take it. They could not take it. Probably in one way why my parents were quick to be killed. Because they couldn't tolerate the Jew being as another one, as the Pole or as the German. We were just as active, just as good as they were. We had just the same brain as they were, but they couldn't take it. They couldn't accept the fact that we were just the same. I have somehow or other, it comes in my mind that interview brought my parents' death, because it was a few months before the killing started. It must have been in March, April, and the killing started in June of 1942. On a birthday of my brother, they killed my parents and my two sisters.
Steve, if I could, oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna,
I'm sorry, she brought the pictures to me, which I will be eternally grateful for, because I had nothing. You know, we went to the camp naked. We came out of the camp naked. And we had nothing. I had no pictures of anyone in the family. She was the one that brought the pictures of my parents and my siblings. And I have them now on the wall.
amazing. Wow. Jill, thanks
By
for.
the way, I tried to talk to the Jewish Museum of Heritage here, that maybe they could make an exhibition of her book and the story that she had, how she found those pictures. Very, very important for people to see what the other side came up with.
Thank you. Thank you, Jill, for that question and the comment, and Steve for sharing. So Greta had a question, and then Russell and Barto. So Greta, are you able to unmute? Or...
Sure. I was wondering, like, when you were a child, going through all that you went through with the Holocaust, and then, you know, just in general, as you got older, how did you cope? Like, what did you do to cope with all of that?
I mentioned that I was a drunkard. If not for the American doctor, I probably would have ended up a short life, but died an alcoholic. I don't know. It's very hard. It's even hard today to cope with what I went through. The nights I can't sleep, my thoughts are racing through with what I went through, and it's not a very pleasant feeling. How old are you?
I'm 25.
You're 25, because you look young.
I know.
I wouldn't discuss with you the trauma that I experienced in life, because I don't want to traumatize another young person. Young person, I mean a child of 15 or 16.
That
It's not my job.
we have a lot of people who are here for the first time, and a lot of people who've been here a number of times. Greta is one of them who comes and asks questions, so I really appreciate that.
Can I say something to Steve, please? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Henry.
yes,
Henry.
yes, Henry. Henry
Hello.
from Bournemouth.
From Bournemouth, that's right. Steve, your talk was fantastic, and it rings so much, brings home.
Thank you, Henry.
Because
I'm not a
family,
very good talker.
hang on, my mother's family all came from Tarnów. That's where they all were born, apart from the two boys who were born in Germany after they left Tarnów before the First World War.
In DP camps.
And my father was also in Flossenburg, but he tried to escape. He was there for 1 week after having been marched from Auschwitz across Czechoslovakia. And after 1 week in Flossenburg in the stone quarries, he said to his friend, "I'm going to die this week. I don't want to die in this camp. So I'm going to make a run for it." And on March the 2nd, 1945, he got a little bit of bread from his friend, who gave him his little piece of bread to
His
help
portion of bread.
strengthen him. And then he ran to the forest, but a guard, and we think it was a Ukrainian guard, saw him and he shot him, and that's where he died on the 2nd of March from Flossenburg. But he was only in Flossenburg about a week or two, because he was so weak from the death march from Auschwitz. As far as Tarnów is concerned, my grandfather, grandmother, and 2 of my aunts who didn't escape from Tarnów, they were taken to Belzec, and that's where they died. Apparently,
I think my sister and brother as well.
Yeah,
My parents, as you heard, were executed, murdered right in front of it.
I only survived because my mother and father they managed in 1939, towards the end of Christmas time, to escape from Poland and to go to Belgium. And they survived the war until they were caught in 1944, in April 1944, and taken to Auschwitz. I was sent to a Christian family. So a Christian family.
Blessed on the head of the Christians.
Yeah.
Blessed on the head of your parents.
Yeah, they saved me. They saved my life. Yeah, so it rings a bell very much.
Were they made the righteous?
No, it was too late for me. And again, I haven't got witnesses either. And then, it's one of those things I regret.
You should try.
I
This should be recognized.
I know, I did try.
Remember,
but
those people that are recognized are a symbol to us.
Absolutely.
A symbol and protector of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Try to recognize them.
It's interesting that your parents went from Krakow to Tarnów.
Yes.
Because my mother, who was left with me in Tarnów, she escaped to Krakow during the war in order to get the false papers. Apparently in Krakow, there were a lot of people who issued false papers. And that's where she came to Belgium.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. But I have a cousin who unfortunately died recently. He was from Krakow. Henry Vermouth, have you heard?
I don't know. If you ask me a name, I don't know any name. I could tell you who the chief rabbi of Krakow was, but if any other name.
Yeah, he wrote a book, very interesting book, actually. He said, "Breathe deeply, my son." It's his book. He was from Krakow. Anyway, it was wonderful meeting you. And maybe
Same here.
If I get a chance to tell my
story.
Try
to make those people that saved you.
Yeah.
Make them important in your life, not only in your life, I meant, but in the life of others.
Yes.
Others around them.
I will try. Amen.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Henry, for sharing that.
Thank you, Henry. Have a good night.
Go.
We'll go to Russell and Magda, and just want to be mindful of everyone's time, especially yours, Steve. So let us know if we're infringing.
Steve, thanks so much for sharing your story tonight. I was just wondering what your feelings were about the uptick of anti-Semitism that we're currently experiencing in the US.
My uptick is that young people like you and younger should learn how to shoot and fight back. We don't need guards to stand in synagogues that are policemen or security guards. We should protect our people and our property and our churches or synagogues with our own lives, not with theirs. We can do it ourselves. Remember, if we let them slap us, it'll lead to more.
Thank you.
I think that also speaks to the importance of having the Jewish state of Israel.
Absolutely. Am Israel Chai.
And Magda, you had your hand raised.
Magda is my friend. Magda is a very important part of Tarnów Jewish life.
Yes, well, actually, the only Jew in town, if you remember the Adam Sandler song, the Hanukkah song. Yes, I am actually talking to you from Tarnów. I work for the Committee for Preservation of Jewish Heritage in Tarnów with my father. And I mean, I have so many things to say, and I will not, because we cannot keep you up for so long, and I have to go to sleep.
Not you, you.
I'm going to work tomorrow. Anyway, I just one thing I would like to first of all thank you, and I'm really happy, and it's a privilege to hear people like you, to still be able. I feel I'm blessed that I still know people personally, people like you, and it's like I mean, I live in Poland, and unfortunately recent years brought up also a rise of anti-Semitism in Poland
It
too.
was there before you were born. It'll be there after you're died.
I know, unfortunately it is true, but so that's even more important, that people like you still should talk, and we should record you, we should have you, because in a few years somebody will come over to me and say, well, Holocaust, what are you talking about? Nothing like this happened.
But you have deniers everywhere and all the time.
I know, but
Especially when Jews are concerned.
yeah, but the moment the survivors will be gone, you know, it's like your stories have to stay. Your stories have to be.
Well, I try. I'm not good at it because it affects me. It affects my health, both my mental and physical health. When you talk, things come into your mind, or you cannot speak out because it's so painful. From my parents' execution to ghettos, to working with the Gestapo, to working with the SS, to pick up the dead bodies, to bring this mother and daughter of the Polish general of the district of Krakow, who was the only motorized person in the Polish army marching to fight the Germans. His wife, General Montt.
Yes, General Montt.
His wife and daughter, I took to be shot in the Jewish cemetery.
Oh my God, we need to talk about it, because we want to commemorate him and this story. But I want to tell you something. You were talking about the righteous, the very few among the Gentiles that saved the Jews.
Do you know,
You said
apropos that, there are more Polish righteous than all of the rest of Europe.
that's true, but on the other hand, we had there were over 3 million Jews living in Poland.
But you know, a Gentile in Poland that hit a Jew was also killed.
I know, and
So
his
they
family,
risked their lives.
her
In France,
family.
it didn't happen. They weren't killed,
That's true.
and they didn't save either.
Yeah, that's very true. So there are very few of them, but one of the projects that we are doing, and I actually talked to Jill today, to Jill and to Dan Oren and to Elizabeth Schanzer. We talked about all the different projects that we are planning to do with the committee, and one of them is the growth of the righteous. We want to commemorate all the righteous that are connected to Tarnów, the Tarnów survivors. And
Well,
I was just
my Marisha.
so that's what I was saying. You said she was not recognized officially, but the Yad Vashem.
No,
But for us, I think we should make an exception, and we should put a stone or a
she was
tree,
not from
whatever it
Tarnów.
is.
She was from a little town. I even visited the town.
Would you like us to do it?
Pardon?
Would you like us to do it?
Absolutely, if you can.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about it. Jill, I hope you you agree. This
We'll
would
talk
be,
to Jill. I'll give her the name and
I'll
where
talk to
she
you
came from.
personally.
Okay.
We're gonna,
Okay.
I have a lot of
We have
questions.
something else to talk about. We love dogs.
Exactly. So,
Um,
yes,
I just wanted to say that you can see that Steve inspires. His story hits deep in the soul for many of us, but he has given us the inspiration to bring this into not only the next generation, which we are, but the generations after. And it's really, his words are really are impactful for us in ways that make us be activists and inspire us to take his story into future generations. So Magda and I work with him on, on some things that are going on at Tarnów, but you can see that how it takes people like survivors like him to give us that, co-op, to give us that spirit, inspiration, the motivation to move ahead. And we have bunches of survivors that join this talk. Audrey Unger and Aileen Yolkud and Fred Arlo were all part of this Tarnów contingent who feel strongly as second generations that we need to bring this. And Steve has been a real inspiration to do this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Do we have time for another question, Steve?
For me, yeah, if you have, yeah.
Okay. All right. I think Alana has her hand raised. Alana, are you able to unmute? If you want, you can type in your question. In the meantime, Steve, someone asked if you have any children or grandchildren who will be able to carry your story and legacy.
You speak to me?
Yeah, that
No,
was.
I do not. I do
do
not.
not. And Alana, did you were you able to fix that? All right, let's see if there's anyone else who has any questions. Oh, someone was able to unmute. No, Alana, do I hear you now?
Hi, did it work now?
It's working.
Sorry, I'm on my phone and I just don't know how to use it that well, but
You're in my league.
yeah,
Children are much younger.
I just wanted to say thank you so much for sharing this. I can only imagine how it must feel
No, you can't. No,
to
you
come
can't.
up.
No,
No,
my
you're
dear,
right.
you can't.
You're right, I can't. I really can't. And
No human being outside of the few that survived
yeah,
would know the pain we went through, what we went through, and how we went through. Nobody else can.
I just wanted to say also, my grandfather was in Flossenburg. He died
Okay.
in 2005, but
Yeah, I'm sorry.
he died in 2005.
Sorry.
But he was incredible, and so much of your story, it's like tonight you brought him back to life a little bit for me.
Well, I'm glad
So-
that I did. If that's
So I wanted to thank you for that, in
Okay.
addition for everything you did for all of us tonight. That was really special for me.
what do you know about your grandfather? Where he came from? Where he was?
He is Polish.
He's Polish.
Yeah, from
Where was he in
Bretsko.
previous camps?
He
you
was
know?
at Auschwitz, and then he went to Flossenburg, and then he was liberated
Well,
from
he was not with
Flossenburg.
us. Okay, okay.
Um,
I was in Auschwitz only on the train
oh,
station, not train
Okay.
station, but on the
right.
waiting to unload us. Probably wouldn't be here today.
Yes. Yeah, it means so much to me to be able to hear your story tonight,
How
Steve.
old
So
was how old was your grandfather when he passed away?
78. He was, yeah, so he was a few years older than you, I think, but there was a lot of overlap between, he didn't, I mean, obviously he didn't share a ton about what I was young, right? So
Do you
he
know
died
where he
when I
came? Do you know where he came from in Poland?
Bretsko? Is that, did I say that right?
Probably.
Bretsko?
Yeah.
Brzesko?
Well,
Brzesko is like 30 kilometers from Tarnów, between
Okay,
Krakow and Tarnów. It's a small town, like a real shtetl,
okay.
but has someone very special also working there with
Who's that?
restoring.
Anna?
Anna Brzeska, yes, of
She's
course
a
you know
fabulous woman,
everyone.
fabulous woman,
Yes,
a righteous Gentile,
yes, one of those.
a wonderful person.
you should
get in touch
visit.
with her. She maybe get you some information on your grandfather.
Mhm.
Yeah, I will look into that. It's
Get in
Yeah.
touch with me or with oh my God,
Magda,
Magda, I'm sorry. I'm famished. I'm sorry.
it's okay.
Thank you. I'm going to milk your time, Steve. If people have to get off, that's okay. But
Yeah.
we have more people with their hand raised, so I'm going to call on Audrey. I believe there's another person, I don't know the name, with the hand raised. It says iPad, so you can go after if you'd like. Well, let's have Audrey first.
Hi, Steve.
Hi.
My name's Audrey Unger Reich, and my father, Ron Unger, who Jill has heard about and Magda has heard about, was born in Tarnów in 1927. He's going to be 95 next week. And he...
Mazel tov. May he live to be 120.
Thank you. And he was in the Tarnów ghetto, and he was among the last group deported and brought to Plaszow, and
So
then ended up...
he was of the 150.
He was working for Madrish. So I think there was about 2,000 of them that was brought from the Madrish factory to Madrish.
So they must have left earlier than I.
I know it was
The last 150 were just cleanup crew.
right. So
And
he
I
was
was the-
just before that in
And
September.
I was the
40.
driver for a guy called Blache. He was
Wow.
the commander of the Gestapo, the SS in Tarnów, who I was to the trial of.
Wow. Yeah. So my father, they were deported. I think in the last group before the cleanup crew, end of August 1943 or beginning of September, and we're in Plaszow for a year, and then in Mauthausen, and then he was liberated from Ebensee. But unfortunately, I was late, so I didn't hear your whole Tarnów part of the story. So I'll listen to the recording.
It was very short and very ugly.
Okay. Yeah, my father remembers it well, how horrible it was. More power to you. You guys are tough guys.
No, we are not. We are not. We are like the rest of humanity. We are as strong as we want to be and as weak as everybody else.
Amen. All right, so I'm going to wrap up this this Zoom meeting. If nobody else has their hand raised or any, oh, it looks like Align, is that the name? Maybe do you have your like to ask a question? Sorry, so many questions.
Hi, it's really we're sisters, Aileen and Regine, and we're also, our parents were in Tarnów. They were in the ghetto and then sent to Plaszow, and then through Oscar Schindler's List, they managed to survive the rest of the war. They were on
So you
Schindler's
mean
List.
they were on the they were in Schindler's camp?
Yeah. And when
I have my two cousins with Schindler.
Who were your two cousins?
One was by the name of Zev Shantz.
Sound familiar? My parents didn't get onto the list until
I can't hear. I can't hear.
She was saying that our parents were with Modric, worked for Modric And when when they were liquidating Plaszow, he had a foreman named Titch who liked my mother very much. And Titch said, would you like to be on this list for Schindler? And, you know, you never volunteered for anything because you didn't know what it was going to mean. But my mother and father said, yes, we'll go. And that's how they survived the war. But I wanted to find out, if I could, if you don't mind talking about it, a little bit more about your life after you got to the States. And you said that you finished your education. You're clearly a very intelligent and educated man. Can you tell us more about how you made a living?
I'm not educated. I finished high school. I started college here at NYU, night school. I couldn't hack it because I couldn't work and I couldn't study and I couldn't go to college at night. I just couldn't. I did one semester and I quit.
And what did you do for a living all these years?
I worked for my cousins we were importing rhinestones from Europe. Then we changed and imported sandpaper. And then we went into optics.
And you married and had children?
No, I did not. I did not, and I did not. No.
Thank you. Well, you are an inspiration, and we thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
And Steve, one more thing you were mentioning when you were asked for this job to dress the horse, etc. You said that that's what your father was doing, and then you laughed.
My father was a businessman. He didn't know from horses any more than you did.
Yeah.
But maybe you know more. I was a child. When I was a child, I guess I was not the nicest or the best child in the world. So my nanny and I, my Marisha and I, were exported in the summers to a small town called Mshana Dolna, which today is a bigger city. I mean, a bigger town with some wonderful people there. I never knew such people existed. Christian people that risked their lives to honor and respect the dead and the killed of Mshana Dolna and others. Unbelievable. The degree is unheard of. You know, the woman teaches theology in a high school. She is very Christian. She is a church-going person. That she sacrifices her life and her family's lives to talk about the Jews of Mshana Dolna. I went there and I used to write everything that, well, it was a small little town. It was like the Far West in the 1800s. Sand and dirt streets, no sidewalks. Horses were the theme. If you didn't have a horse, you were very poor. If you have a horse, you had poor. But if you didn't have a horse, you were poor. I rode horses bareback because there were no saddles. You didn't know what to do with a saddle. And I learned how to be a horseman. That was my education at Mshana Dolna.
So,
you know, I raised my hand.
Steve, thank you so much for sharing your testimony with us today. And everyone, thank you all for being here and for sharing your thoughts, asking questions. This was extremely meaningful. And with that, I just going to close the group. Wish you all a good night. And again, Steve, thank you for everything.
Good night, Magda. I'm sorry I misspelled your name. Say hello to your dad.
And I will, yes, he's
Okay.
actually sleeping, but I will
understand
tell
he's
him
sleeping,
all
yeah.
about this
He's a little bit
meeting.
older than you.
Yeah, that's true. But I'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
You too.
Say hello to the
Thank you.
doggies too.
They are sleeping, but I will. I'll give them a hug from you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
so
you,
much.
everybody.
Thank
Good
you.
night. Be well.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.